18 minutes before the hour now, expectations are mighty high for Bernie Sanders here in New Hampshire. Nationally, the Vermont senator has been the underdog, but his supporters are confident he'll pull off a win here. Of course, Hillary Clinton's team's been trying to lower expectations like all the politicians do in the state that the campaign has called Bernie Sanders' backyard. And even her own pollster has said the goal is to just keep it close, whatever close is. Lisa Lerer is a national politics reporter for the Associated Press. What is close for her?
I think within 10 points, they'll try to, is a number that they can start to spin. Of course, what they said in Iowa was a win is a win, because that was a razor-thin win for Hillary Clinton. They're not going to be saying a loss is a loss here in New Hampshire. No. They're hoping to close the gap as much as possible and say, well, we were down by 30 points, and hey, we lost by 8. Isn't that great? It's a hard case to make.
I was here 8 years ago when she made her now very famous tear.
Right.
And really turned things around at the last minute. Was at that event and said that moment, that just won her this state, or that guy gave her. And I came back, and Britt Hume, he'd have thought I'd said something in some other language.
Right.
He's like, you are crazy. That is not, well, it happened. There's nothing, there's no magic coming here.
Yeah, and even her own team doesn't expect to pull out a win at the last minute here. The question is, how big is the loss? How devastating is the loss? And they're trying to cast this forward. She's announced events in Nevada and South Carolina, so they're trying to move on as quickly as possible. The question is, are there any repercussions? Is there a shakeup on the campaign staff? There's certainly been rumors about that have been flying even before Iowa. That
she's not denying it flatly.
She's not denying it flatly. I mean, there's some danger in going that route,
yeah,
of course, because it brings back all these memories of 2008 where, you know, she couldn't manage her own team, and that was very problematic for her, built into a narrative that, you know, she didn't have her race under control. You know, and I think the question for Bernie Sanders that we need to ask is, does this appeal in two largely white, fairly liberal states translate to the minority voters who make up a huge swath of the Democratic Party? We don't have the answers to that, but a win certainly helps more than a loss.
They've talked about this firewall. They don't anymore, but they talked about the southern firewall forever. It's holding, right? It's not like her numbers are changing with the African-American population down south.
Frankly, we just don't know
really
yet. But we know the firewall, the reason they're not talking about it is it's not a firewall anymore. This contest is going to go far beyond March 1st. Sanders' team thinks they have strength in sort of some of the caucus states, particularly in western states, places like Colorado, you know, Idaho, even up in Maine, where, you know, those are states that would be friendly territory for him. Minnesota, those are places that vote a little later. So this is, you know, going to be a long game. We're going to be covering this for the next few months. Are
you at all surprised that we haven't seen the math as an above-the-fold story, the math of the Bernie Sanders story, and also the politics of it, and frankly, the fact that he can't get any of that stuff done, not with this Congress.
Yeah, I think you're previewing tomorrow's papers today.
Right.
I think we're going to start hearing a lot about the delegates, and what the Clinton team argues, and I think they are right about this, is there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on Bernie Sanders. We're going to start seeing, you know, how does this plan actually work? How much does giving a single-payer health care system, how much does that cost? And already there's been some estimates that say it would cost significantly more than he's said. How do you pay for that? These are all the questions that his campaign is going to have to contend with now that he really has run into a rival for the nomination.
I always laugh when they put these polls up that show Hillary versus all the different Republicans, or Bernie versus all the different Republicans. Have we forgotten that people have been shooting at Hillary for 25 years, and that Bernie Sanders is, you know, he's sort of the friendly uncle, at least until now? When that changes, those numbers are going to change too, aren't they? Right.
I mean, she's definitely someone who's been attacked throughout her entire career. She's used to that. Many people say she's best when she's under attack, when she's the underdog. But this is a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is really the heart of the Democratic Party. People who are supporting Hillary, when you interview them, they say, it's not that I don't like Bernie Sanders. In fact, they say that they like a lot of what he's saying. So how do you, but, you know, they don't think he's practical, or they don't think he's electable. So it's a very difficult thing for her to go after him, because she can't, you know, she doesn't want to go after what's expressed, you know, the fondest dreams of the Democratic Party. It's a very complicated maneuver for her to pull.
This is the part where I ask you for a prediction.
Oh, prediction for New Hampshire? That's an easy one.
Okay.
I'll give New Hampshire is going to go to Bernie Sanders. I think we can.
We'll have it a margin.
That. Oh, margin. I don't know. We'll have to see. The place to watch is Manchester. If she loses Manchester, if it's tight in Manchester, that's probably going to be an early indicator of a bad night for her.
Manchester was huge for her 8 years ago.
Exactly.
It was the base of her turnaround.
Exactly, and of course the western part of the state is awfully close to Vermont, so those are all areas where Bernie Sanders is stronger. And you see that the two candidates the past couple of days have been spending the bulk of their time in Manchester and Concord and Nashua. So just right around here. And that's because this is, the area that's the most competitive.
And a lot of money. They're on TV more than Megyn Kelly.
They're on TV a lot, a lot.
It's so good to see you, talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.